one of the most exciting things in the tokenized space is access to private equity. The idea that I could have assets from a company that's not public, I think has been traditionally held outside of retail grasp. With tokenized securities, you can now offer the retail customer access to that asset class that many people, I think, are super interested in. That is going to be a real winner on the retail side.
This episode is brought to you by BitGo, the trusted infrastructure behind the digital asset economy. If you're serious about crypto, whether you're an investor, institution, or building in this space, you already know security, compliance, and execution are everything. And that's exactly what BitGo delivers. With over a decade of experience and 5,500 plus institutional clients across 100 plus countries, BitGo provides a full suite of services, including qualified custody, trading, staking, financing, and stablecoin infrastructure, all in one platform. Let's break it down. Want to launch crypto services fast? BitGo's crypto as a service lets banks, fintechs, and platforms go live in as little as a couple of months without dealing with complex licensing or infrastructure. If you're looking to launch a stablecoin, BitGo offers a complete stablecoin as a service platform from reserves and smart contracts to compliance, built to align with the new US regulatory framework that is the Genius Act. Want to earn rewards on your crypto? BitGo runs one of the largest institutional staking platforms with tens of billions staked across 50 plus networks, all while your assets stay securely in qualified custody. Need deep liquidity and execution? Their trading platform aggregates liquidity across 30 plus venues, giving you better pricing and the ability to trade directly from custody. No pre-funding required for approved clients. And if you need capital, BitGo offers crypto-backed financing, so you can unlock liquidity without selling your assets. So here's the bottom line. BitGo is one of the first federally chartered digital asset infrastructure companies offering regulated, insured custody and a platform built for institutions, but accessible to forward-thinking players across the space. So whether you're scaling a fintech, managing a fund, or building the future of finance, BitGo gives you all the tools that you need to do this securely, compliantly, and at scale. So learn more at bitgo.com and see why the biggest players in crypto trust BitGo.
Hey folks, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast. I'm your host, Tony Edward, and we're recording at Station 3 in New York's Financial District. And joining me today is Nancy Beaton, who is the president of Uphold US. Uphold is a digital wallet and trading platform that makes cryptocurrencies and other assets affordable and accessible for everyone. Nancy, great to have you.
Thanks.
We did an interview before at Ripple Swell in Miami, different times back in 2024. So it's great to be doing another one in person with you.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. This is my first time at Station 3. It's great.
Yeah. And obviously being down in Wall Street, we're seeing crypto take over Wall Street. Big news around Uphold. Yesterday, there was the announcement of a crypto-backed credit card product. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we launched a credit card that lets you take your assets, you can put them up as collateral and not sell them, but you can unlock the value of those assets on a card. So if I want to take my BTC, my ETH, my USDC, I can deposit it, and that becomes instant credit on a credit card that I can spend in 150 million merchants worldwide.
So that's pretty profound because typically there's usually a taxable event in converting. How is this different?
Yeah, so the reality is a lot of people, and we're known, we have a very large XRP holding community. A lot of people want to invest and stack and collect and hold their digital assets, right? And they see the promise of those digital assets. But in certain times, they need the value that's locked up in those digital assets. And we know our users have more of their financial value locked up in crypto than the average crypto user. So we want to give our users a way to take those assets, to put them up, to deposit them, and use them as collateral so that they can have that day-to-day flexibility of spending on everyday things that they may need, or trips or groceries or gas or whatever it may be right now, without having to sell those precious assets.
So talk to us about the logistics of how that's done? Is it via stablecoins? How's the credit initiated off? Let's say I put some Bitcoin in and I want to spend it via the card.
It's super easy in the app. You take your Bitcoin, you take your ETH, you take your USDC, you can deposit it as collateral. Then you can borrow against that collateral. That borrowing becomes available on a credit card that you activate in the app. You can put that credit card in your Google and Apple Pay, and then you can use it as a Visa signature card at 150 million merchants.
That's significant because a lot of folks, they rightfully so have the pain point of capital gains tax. But if I can borrow and then use the capital to spend and do what I need to do, that's really great. So are there limits on what I can spend or borrow?
So depending on how much you deposit is how much, credit you get on the credit card, but you can see it real time in the app. You can also pick your payment plan. So up to 8 fixed payments. So you can see in real time what the interest would be on various payment plans, and you can choose which one you want to use to repay that. And then you can continue to borrow against any of the assets you've put up for collateral.
You mentioned Bitcoin, Ethereum, and USDC.
That's
Are
right.
there plans to expand to other assets?
Definitely plans to expand that. You can imagine, as us and our large community that we have, we definitely want to expand that to other assets that people can deposit.
I read that there's no annual fees, no credit checks as well.
It's true. There's no credit checks. There's no annual fees. And this is really important, right? Your crypto is your collateral. Your crypto is your credit. So people, that don't have credit, maybe are heavy into crypto, that don't have other financial backings. Maybe you haven't bought a house yet. Maybe you haven't amassed that credit score that everybody seems so precious. You can just use your crypto as your collateral. And I think this is important too, because that next generation of users can have access to credit without the 20-year credit score that everybody has taken a long time to build up and to perfect and to check. So yes, no credit score and checks and no annual fees.
It's such a great option because I think of myself anecdotally. I have my crypto assets and I can't do much with them. I can't put them to work. I can't use them as collateral, as you mentioned, but now I can with Uphold. And I can, if I need to, do some repairs on my house or whatever it may be, I can now put that asset to work versus just letting it sit there.
That's right. A lot of times they do sit idle, right? People are looking to stack them. They're looking to, build their investment portfolio. So they do leave it idle. And one of the things we're looking to do at Uphold is really help you maximize your assets while they sit idle. Nobody needs to have their investments sitting idle, right? You need to be able to borrow against them. You need to be able to earn against them. You need to be able to put them up and let others borrow against them and you earn a yield back. So there's a lot of things that we're working to do to make sure that when you have those assets, they don't sit idle, that you're maximizing them as they're there in your portfolio.
Yeah, we're seeing from a broader perspective, banks and others are starting to noodle on this and try to see if they can present or offer crypto-backed products and using crypto as collateral.
That's right. And you'll see us do more and more. We do believe our users want to have multi-asset classes. And we do believe that they want crypto to be at the heart of those asset classes, but they want to be able to use their crypto for other things, right? Whether it's for borrowing, whether it's for house repairs, whether it's for, credit, they want to be able to use it without selling it.
And with regards to how it's locked in the respective credit setup, what's general terms around that?
Yeah, so we are partnering with the Exactly protocol. So it's an established protocol. So this is really people's first entry easily into DeFi protocols. And so the assets that are deposited go into the Exactly protocol. This version of that protocol is actually a permissioned version of that protocol. So we know the participants. And then the assets that they have when they get the credit card, it's an EXA credit card. So it's an EXA Visa signature credit card. Comes with all the Visa perks that you get with travel and lodging and rewards and benefits. And then you can use it at anywhere Visa's accepted.
That's pretty incredible. And it's like 150 million merchants worldwide, right?
That's right. I mean, this is the utility of crypto,
Yeah.
is being able to, buy an asset, let it, be able to be a key portion of your portfolio, but then also unlocking the value of that asset anywhere you spend, anywhere Visa's accepted.
So a common question folks may have, at times the market can be volatile. All markets are volatile, right? So how do you do the loan to value type, or I shouldn't say loan to value, but how do you do the value of the assets and the amount of credit you're going to get as a result?
Yeah, typically you get about 50% loan to value credit. There is a health score that the DeFi protocol, the Exactly protocol, has and publishes. So in real time, you can see your health score, right? You can see what is in the protocol. You can see how much you've repaid. You can see what percent loan to value you can get. So right in the app, you'll see that ongoing updated health score that will let you manage how much you can borrow, your repayments, your payment plan. All of that's right in the app under the health score.
I guess I did use the right word, LTV, loan to value. I wasn't sure because I didn't want to think of it as like a mortgage or something, but rather credit, which is really great. I love this. And this is something I'm looking forward to trying because, like I said, I want to put my assets to work there, just sitting there. And if I could put some of that, especially Bitcoin, because I don't necessarily want to spend my Bitcoin. I want to keep it long term, like gold or something.
That's right.
But if I can borrow against
precious.
it, I could certainly, that would be very helpful.
Yes, I think so too. I think you'll see a lot of people take advantage of this because we do have a lot of people that have much of their financial holdings in crypto. And I think you're going to see more and more people holding crypto, and they want the value of that crypto. They do not want to sell the crypto. And this is the perfect solution for that.
Pardon the interruption. Hi, I'm Tony. I'm the host of the Thinking Crypto podcast. I wanted to ask you if you can please support the podcast by hitting the like button, subscribing if you haven't as yet. You can leave a comment below as well. And if you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts, please be sure to follow and hit the 5-star rating. I'll let you get back to the content. Thank you so much.
Now, this is certainly not the first foray for Uphold with regards to different credit cards. I mean, you guys have had the Uphold Debit Card, which has XRP rewards and much more. So it's really great that you're building all these products.
Yeah, we want people to come to Uphold and be able to, trust in the product, right? We've been publishing a transparency page of all the assets and liabilities we have in every 30 seconds on our website. We want them to be able to have access to the most tokens. We have more than 300 tokens, and we often list tokens first. We are unique in that we are not a traditional exchange. We are actually connected to 32 different trading venues. So we can access tokens. We can search the market for the best liquidity and give our customers great pricing. And then we really want them to come to us so that they can maximize their assets. So it might be things like the debit card you mentioned, right? I can get a debit card, I can spend fiat, I can spend my crypto if I want, and I get 2, 3, 4%, up to 4% XRP back when I do my everyday spending. Again, making the most of the assets that you have. This new Exa credit card, right? I can deposit my BTC, my ETH, my USDC. I can unlock its spending power without selling it and then use it in my everyday life. So those things you're going to see more and more where we can deliver to people multi-assets and multiple ways to maximize their assets.
Yeah, it's such a great product. And I'm curious, as much as you can share, Uphold strategy for the younger generations as well, Gen Z, eventually Gen Alpha, right? Who are very digitally native. They're going to be doing almost everything on their smartphones.
That's right.
And eventually maybe their glasses, right? How are you guys thinking about the future and catering for that generation?
A lot. We're thinking about it a lot. That generation is going to expect that they can move money like they move a snap, right? Like they move a text message, like they move an instant message. So we need to really be thinking about how they have expectations for digital assets, right? They're not going to wait on the weekend, to access money. That's not how they think. They're real time. They're 24/7. I have a 17-year-old daughter and a 13-year-old son, and I can see it right now, right? When they ask for me for money, they are not asking for cash.
Right.
They are asking me to deposit in their Apple Pay. They are going to expect that money moves like their text messages, like their snaps. And so one of the things that we're doing is we are making it easy for them to access digital assets, right? Be able to have more than 300 on the platform. We are making it easy for them to spend against the value of those assets. So in the extra credit card, no credit check. You're 18, you're 19, you do not have the credit that somebody my age might have. So now you can get full access to the credit that or to the value that your crypto holds without having the traditional financial, buildup of good credit, of spending, of habits, all those types of things, because your crypto is your collateral. And they're going to expect more and more ease like this that's going to cater to the way that they spend.
Yeah. And I'm assuming you have your kids do some beta testing for Uphold.
All the time. In fact, my son, Jude, he's 13, and he asked for Bitcoin for Christmas.
Wow.
Right? And so he's very interested in seeing it. He knows about it, maybe a little bit because I'm in the space, but I think, these kids understand different ways of making money. None of these folks in, this Gen Z, Gen Alpha are looking to sit behind a desk for 25 years and have a 401k vest so that they can retire at 70. They're creators, they're gig economy workers, they have multiple hustles on the side. I mean, they want to make money fast. They see it. That is how, that's how they see the world. When I was growing up, we didn't have a Tony Thinking Crypto or a YouTube, right?
Right.
And so everybody wanted a job. And now, I think they move from job to job. I think they find the right fit for them. I think they're streamers. I think they're gig economy workers. And they're going to expect that their money and payments move like that too.
Absolutely. And just economically and how the world has changed, it's not necessarily their fault. It's just they have to adapt to how things have changed in the economy. And look, it's so crazy out there, economically. There's a whole macro conversation to have here. And to your point, they need to find the different avenues to earn, whether that's crypto and other things. And with the advancing in crypto and stablecoins, they can get paid instantly. They don't have to maybe wait to the end of the week for a paycheck. They can get paid the day of or the hour of eventually.
That's right. And the movement of money.
Yeah.
Right? The idea that you can move money across borders, across countries, the flow of money is really important to them. They expect it to flow like everything else does digitally in their worlds. They think it's interesting. My kids think it's interesting that we have a local bank that we go to, right? They're like, why are we here? Can't you just do that on your phone?
Right.
And so, I think they expect it all to be right there, ready, at the ready, and instant for them.
So on that note, we got all of Wall Street, the banks, the investment firms are all recognizing that's the direction the puck's heading in. We have to tokenize. We have to put fiat currencies on blockchains and create stable coins and tokenized deposits. We have to put stocks, equities, gold, and much more on chain. I would love to get your thoughts on what's happening there and how Uphold is looking at the tokenization market.
Yeah, so I think, there's no doubt that the financial industry is going to adopt blockchain. The operational efficiencies alone, right, warrant adopting blockchain to process money, to track money, to send money. It's just so much more efficient.
Yeah.
So I fully believe that, traditional financial institutions are going to do that. And we're helping many of them do that through our platform. The tokenization of assets is really exciting. We polled our customer, and tokenized securities is one of the highest things they are interested in. I think they want to diversify their portfolios. I think they want multiple asset classes, like we've been talking about before, crypto, tokenized securities. They trust the blockchain. So anything that layers on that, I think is a positive. And tokenized securities was one of the most requested things that they told us they're interested in. And we did announce that we will be bringing tokenized securities to market. I think really interesting in the tokenized space for me. I mean, there's tokenized treasuries, there's, institutional tokenized assets, things like this. There's tokenized fractional securities. I think one of the most exciting things in the tokenized space is access to private equity. So, the idea that I could have assets from a company that's not public, I think has been traditionally held outside of retail grasp. And I think with tokenized securities, you can now offer the retail customer access to that asset class that many people, I think, are super interested in. So I think that is going to be a real winner on the retail side.
And part of the token economy, so to speak, is being able to, on the theme of what we were talking about, putting your assets to work. Because let's say a stock is tokenized, you can then put it into DeFi and earn off of that.
Yeah, that's right. You could have multi-asset holdings, right? You could rebalance a portfolio on multiple assets. I mean, there's so many things that you could do. And I think people are going to want to participate in more assets as they become on the blockchain.
And I read that Uphold did file an application with FINRA in conjunction with tZERO to launch the tokenized securities.
We did. And so we're actively working that now. And we want to bring tokenized securities to our user base. Again, it's the number one thing that they are asking for.
Wow. And how is Uphold as a company prepared? And you're already a global company, but when it comes to 24/7 markets, how are you preparing for that? Because that's a bit on steroids, right? When you need to have people who are awake and not sleeping. Right?
Yeah, I mean, we're already there. I mean, Uphold as a company, when we first started, I mean, we're in crypto. Crypto is 24/7.
Yeah.
So whether you're global, not global, that doesn't really play into it. It's really, if you're in crypto, money and crypto and digital assets move 24/7. So we are 24/7. Our platform's up 24/7. We have, companies and people globally around the world serving different markets, and then transferring those digital assets and those assets around globally. But crypto is 24/7. Blockchain's 24/7. I mean, that's why I think it has huge advantages over traditional finance.
Yeah. I mean, and it's amazing to see the Wall Street folks like New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ are awakening to this. And, crypto started it all. And now everybody's looking to go 24/7, 365, which it's like a dawn of a new era because no more opening and closing bell. There won't be a need for that.
I feel like people appreciate clarity that has come in the last year or two around crypto and blockchain. Could there be more? Yes. Do we hope there's more soon? Of course. But I do feel like we have seen more and more regulatory clarity. And when you have that, I think it allows traditional institutions, larger entities, corporations to open up the ability to participate. And so I think with that rise in regulatory clarity, I think more and more and more banks, businesses, fintechs, regulated institutions will participate in blockchain. I think it'll continue to grow as the regulatory clarity grows.
Yeah, and specifically the SEC and the CFTC have been doing an amazing job providing guidance, even though the Clarity Act itself hasn't been passed into law. But they are the pillars that they're so crucial because they are actually providing the fine print details.
Yes.
They're doing the enforcement. So it's really great that both agencies have been providing guidance.
Yes, and the reality is we want clarity.
Yeah.
Right? We want regulatory clarity because that makes it easier for us to understand the parameters in which to operate. So we would love for all these things to pass, to come to fruition so that they can better define how we operate in this space. And I think, that's when you'll start to have more and more adoption.
Recently, Uphold announced that you're partnering with the Digital Ascension Group, and this is one of the largest crypto-focused IRAs in the U.S., and they're managing nearly $1 billion in asset or digital assets for clients. Tell us about that partnership and what's the goal there?
Yeah, it's a great partnership. Super excited about it. It's on our enterprise side. So a lot of people know Uphold for our retail wallet, right? We've been talking about, a crypto-backed credit card. We've been talking about debit cards, assets, all types of things. But I think what people may not understand or realize is the platform that underpins that really great retail wallet is a super high-power platform, right? It is 24/7. It is highly compliant, meeting regulatory standards, right? We're licensed and registered across the globe. And we can now allow these banks, fintechs, broker dealers, institutions, financial companies, the ability to get into the crypto digital asset market very quickly, within 10 weeks. So somebody like our partnership with the Digital Asset Group can take our platform and plug it into their user front end. So now, if you're a user with Digital Asset Group, you can now trade all that we have on the platform just through our plug and play process with that partnership. And so you'll see more. You'll see more banks, you'll see more fintechs, you'll see more institutions being announced where they are taking our platform and plugging it into their user interface.
So you're kind of offering a crypto as a service product for these folks.
That's right, because we do see the mass adoption coming, right? And, people to get into the crypto space, right? To have the trading, to have the regulatory, to have the rules, to have the periodic checks, to have the, money flow, to have all the rails, it can take a long time and it takes a lot to build. And so now they can come to Uphold, they can take our platform and they can plug it into their interface. We were talking about, the Gen Z, the Gen Alpha earlier. Banks, financial institutions, fintechs, people are going to start demanding access to digital assets.
Right.
And, they are going to need to serve this next generation of financial customers, and we can help them do that.
Yeah, I'm sure they're getting a lot of demand from folks who want to get access to the asset class since it's grown and matured so much. And I can imagine you're probably getting a lot of demand from those institutions. They're like, we need to get this up and running.
Yeah, a lot of inbound calls, right?
Yeah.
We have regulatory clarity. We have demand coming from the next generation of financial users. Those two things together create a lot of inbound calls for people who want to get up and running quickly in the digital asset space.
I got into the crypto asset class in 2016, and I couldn't imagine things being at the point they're at right now. It's incredible with all the adoption from all these big institutions.
It's true. I've been in the space since 2018. I even, in my first project, got only the third SEC no action letter to bring a token to market. Imagine now what the regulatory environment is. So the change that I have seen on the regulatory side, on the adoption side, it's just been tremendous. And I think more and more of that's going to foster more and more growth in the space.
Nancy, I'm a user of Uphold's Stablecoin rewards program with USDC and RLUSD. However, some of the banks don't like that. They're saying, no, we're worried about bank runs and all these things, which I think is hyperbole. But what are your thoughts on that situation? And is it just simply the incumbents getting disrupted and they're like, wait a minute, we need to slow this down?
I personally feel that rewards are an inherent part of blockchain. I mean, go back to proof of stake networks, staking, getting rewards. I think it's become part of the ecosystem. We do provide rewards on stable coins. Our users want to be able to earn on assets and some assets that are idle. So, I am a market-led person and I hear our customers and they want this. So I think anybody that gets in this space, customers are going to want an ability to earn rewards. To me, personally, it's similar to when I lend my money and I get interest from the bank and it's lent out somewhere else. It's can be similar that we get rewarded for that. Now, I do feel like, this space will continue to grow and evolve. And the ways to earn yield, rewards, interest on your digital assets has exponentially grown in the space. So I think people are still going to want the ability to earn. On the other hand, I would say too, I think there are some really interesting things that are happening from the traditional finance space. So we have a partnership with Vast Bank and USBC.
Greg
And yeah, Greg. And, we are going to bring tokenized deposits to our users. So I deposit $1 at a bank, and it is a digital dollar on the blockchain. So my money is moving like I need it to, but it's at a financially regulated institutional, a traditional bank. So I think there's going to be lots of ways that people leverage blockchain to deliver value to customers.
Yeah. And anecdotally, I have money in the bank account. I use JP Morgan. I park some money on Uphold for staking and stablecoin yield. I'm not putting all my money, right? Because I still need to do my everyday thing, but I want to put my money to work and earn as much as I can. But JP Morgan, just as an example, in this savings account, 0.01, come on. I'm going to go park it in Uphold. I'm going to go put my assets to work or my cash to work. So it's kind of ridiculous what the banks are doing. They should just compete and up the interest or offer a stablecoin.
So we actually have a high interest savings account.
Yes.
So you can put in money on Uphold USDC. It is FDIC insured up to 2.5 million, right? Not the 250,000 at the traditional bank, but 2.5 million. And we're currently paying out 3.75% on your USD. It is also right next to where you need it. So you need to take advantage of the market and you want to buy assets, you can move it in, buy assets. You want to liquidate your assets, you can move that money into this account and make 3.75%. Again, much higher than many traditional accounts that we have.
Yeah.
So we see a lot of people bringing in that type of money to the platform because it is FDIC insured,
Right.
It's easily accessible, and it's right next to where you need it to be to take advantage of any movement.
See, this is why here's the future. And what Uphold is doing is the future. And I think the younger generations, like, if the banks don't up their game, they're gonna move away from these traditional banks. Because we want to look for, we want to have the option to earn and get as much as we can.
Yeah, our customers tell us over and over, we want the ability to earn, whether it's on my idle assets, whether it's on my USD, whether I want to stake. We just announced flexible staking. So now if you have any assets that are eligible for staking on Uphold, with one button, we will stake them for you. And you can come in and out instantly as you want. But still participate in the staking rewards that come along with some of those assets. So again, it's just making it easier for users to come and get rewarded or to maximize all the digital assets they have with us.
Yeah, one of the things I highlight often is when we're in a bear market like we are now, staking is a great option to earn on your assets versus, look, we know it's down a bit and you may have a long-term view on the market, but put it to work and earn as we go through this downtime. And we'll be back in another bull cycle eventually, but it's a great option.
I think people should understand, it's not always about timing the market, it's about time in the market. And it's so important that you take advantage of the tools that we have. Recurring buys, which is dollar cost averaging, right? You have debit card rewards. We have rewards right now. If you direct deposit part of your paycheck, you get up to 4% back in XRP. We have staking, flexible staking that you can come in and out of, boosted staking that gives you a higher reward for a little bit longer lockup. There's all these ways to maximize your digital assets. And over time, those, have proven to pay off more than just trying to time the market.
Absolutely. Well said. And I know we're talking about the bear market, but I would love to get your thoughts on the market conditions. Obviously, maybe the past bull market didn't go according to what people may have had in their minds, but it's all cyclical. It looks like maybe we're nearing a bottom at some point, and following that 4-year cycle with Bitcoin. Do you think by the end of the year we're starting to come out of it?
I think, I think people should look at two things. One, I think they should look at blockchain, right? The underlying technology that, is underpinning all of the crypto that you see, that is still moving forward. That's not retreating. That's not having a tough time. We see more and more adoption of blockchain technology, which is the real hero here. And I think you're going to continue to see banks, fintechs, entities, institutional traders, institutions adopting blockchain technology. That's not going away. And that is at the heart of, I think, what we've all started here, right? So to me, that's not in any sort of market. I see that progressing, and I see it progressing, rapidly. We just had folks with American Banker. We were at the conference, and there was nothing but talk about moving digital assets forward. Or digital blockchain capabilities forward. So I think people need to understand that's not slowing.
Right.
I think, we do enter different cycles when it comes to the tokens that ride along top that blockchain. And so we are going to be in different types of cycles. The one thing I would just go back to is don't try to time the market. Be in the market, right? That's my personal advice, because the more that you can use those tools to continue to earn and build your investment portfolio, that's the key, right? That has proven over time to be a longer, better strategy than somebody who tries to play in and out, in and out.
Yeah, great advice. And, even anecdotally with myself, buying some crypto assets in 2016, 2017, some of it I have not sold. I just let it sit there, even though it was painful going through cycles. But now it's up because I just played the time game, just let it grow over time, the compound interest and things like
and
that.
you can start a recurring buy as little as $10, a week. And so I think as people see these tools, it will even out their watching of the market. It'll even out their participation, and it'll be a smoother runway.
Is Uphold leveraging AI and planning to leverage AI for the users and customers on the platform? I don't know how much you can share there, because I don't want you to give away your big plans, but what are you guys doing there?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think everybody's going to leverage AI, right? So I think operationally, we're already leveraging AI. I just came from a meeting where we were talking about how we're going to implement AI. And so I think, yes, you will see, and again, I'll go back to a survey we did with our users. They are interested in using AI.
Yeah.
Now, they're interested in various ways and flavors. They're interested in AI recommendations that then they personally sort through and take advantage of. I think they're also interested in AI for things like maybe rebalancing a portfolio, or to, auto trade something that they set the parameters around. So, we know our customers want it, not scared of it at all. And so you'll see it come out in some future projects that we have.
That's exciting. I know a lot of folks are looking to build AI agents, and yeah, if you could put an AI agent to work on rebalancing your portfolio, doing different things, or just saying, hey, Nancy, hey, Tony, here's the quick hits, what's happening with this asset, here's what I recommend, and things like that.
That's right. And I think, again, it goes back to being able to build or earn on your investment portfolio in your portfolio of digital assets, and being able to do that super easy. So I think people want to be able to, again, not have to time the market, but participate in the market and make that easy participation.
This is kind of a follow-up question to the tokenization conversation we had earlier in Uphold's plans. Aside from adding the tokenized assets, is Uphold leveraging blockchain in the background in any way? Are you planning to?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most obvious way that you see it is, letting users just come on and off the platform, right? I mean, we know people have multiple wallets, right? Average user, I don't know about you, average user probably has 2, 3 wallets. So, I think just allowing people to move money like that, I think is super, super important. I think, also we can support DeFi access. We can support, we talked about the Exactly protocol. You'll see others like that coming in. So you'll see more of that in the space and giving people easier access to DeFi pools, to other protocols, things like that. And then I think just allowing, institutions, companies, businesses to move money either intercompany or to maybe employees that are in different places, you'll see us be able to move money as well.
Yeah, it's exciting to see all the blockchain rails being set up for everybody to be able to participate in one way or the other. Now, we went through a lot. Uphold is doing a lot. And I want to ask, though, is there anything else on your roadmap that you want to highlight?
Yeah, I think there's a lot coming, right? We've talked about tokenized securities. We've talked about rewards and debit card and AI and all types of different things. I think things that we see people being interested in the traditional finance space, you'll see, we've talked about the digital asset group with IRAs. We see people interested in, crypto-focused IRAs. We see people that are interested in more earning products. We see people that are interested in more ways to unlock the value of their crypto. And I think we see a lot of interest in multi-asset ability to go from gold to Bitcoin, which we have today, right? You can buy precious metals on Uphold today in one click from Bitcoin to gold. I think you'll see equities, right? They want to put that in the mix as well and start having a whole portfolio, a multi-asset portfolio that they can manage right there and then they can earn off of or unlock the value and spend in real life.
I love that feature by Uphold because I think you guys were like the only ones that I know of that it can do that. And it's so analogous to the interoperable world that's being built with tokenized assets to allow for that instant conversion.
That's right. And I think, eventually you can imagine that you have a multi-asset portfolio that can be rebalanced and that you can manage. So I think there'll be a lot of opportunity for people to have more of their financial holdings at Uphold and then manage them, earn off them, and unlock the value.
It may be too early to answer this question, but as more assets come on chain with the tokenization efforts that's happening, so even like rare cars or rare comic books, like the first Superman comic book or something like that, right? And things along those collectibles, and maybe the younger generation is saying, I like this NFT, this Pokemon thing. Based on customer demand, would Uphold look to add things like that?
Yeah, so we regularly talk to our customers. We just talked about going to be at XRP Vegas with 2,000 of my best friends and customers. We regularly do research with our customers and customers outside in the general crypto market. So we're super market led. So we tend to do a lot of discussions. What do our customers want? What do they need from us? And so we let that help drive, our roadmap, our priorities, our next projects, all of those types of things.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. I'm a comic. Growing up as a kid, I collected sports cards and comic books, and I can't wait for like certain comic books that I can't afford. I can't go buy a $1 million Superman comic, but if there's a token, a fraction of it,
That's
exactly.
Right.
And that I think that's going to be appealing to a lot of people. I can have access for the first time.
You know what? You just said it, Tony. I think this is all about delivering access.
Yeah.
Right? Private security access, tokenized security access, fractional security access, access to earning, access to your comic book. Things that I believe, this generation, this group of hungry digital asset users may or may not have had in the past. Access to credit.
Yeah.
Your crypto is your credit now, right? This access, I think, is at the heart of delivering the blockchain promise to the retail side. I think there's a lot of operational efficiency. I think there's a lot of technical efficiency on the enterprise side. Their customers are going to demand the access, and now they will have the infrastructure to deliver.
Yeah. And it's all being built right now, right?
Right now. It's built. I mean, now it's being adopted.
Yeah. It's fascinating. I think the world is I have an 8-year-old, so I'm thinking about the world which she's going to be in when she's 18 or, becomes an adult. It's going to be much different. So fascinating. Well, I'm looking forward to the future updates around Uphold. And Nancy, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks for having me. This is great. It's great to see you again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't as yet. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please follow and leave a 5-star rating. Thank you so much.